I'd like to call the meeting of the Newington Board of Education to order for Wednesday, September 25th. The time is 7 o'clock. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mary Beatrice.
Here.
Brittany Carr. John Halloran.
Here.
Anthony Neely. Timothy Nixon.
Here.
Amy Parati.
Here.
Sam Karma.
Here.
Jessica Weaver.
Here.
Anastasia.
Thank you. All right, first on our agenda is our resolution honoring school cafeteria staff. Many of them are here in the room, joined us. Resolution honoring Newington school cafeteria workers, September 25th, 2024. Whereas Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 has been proclaimed as Newington School Cafeteria Workers Day, and whereas the Newington School Cafeteria workers prepare and serve an average of 2,400 meals per day, and whereas the Newington School Cafeteria workers follow local and state health standards when preparing meals, and whereas the Newington School Cafeteria workers prepare meals following nutritional guidelines established by the United States Department of Agriculture and the state of Connecticut, and whereas the Newington School Cafeteria workers have shown dedication and conscientious performance when serving school lunches. Therefore, we do hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 as Newington School Cafeteria Workers Day. Be it resolved that we urge all the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to Newington cafeteria workers on this very special day. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy for presentation. Yes. Would you like to come up and accept?
They're a little shy.
Is online and I'm not sure do another.
Dana, did you want to share any words?
I would. When I think of my staff, I think of
Hold
kindness.
on 1 second, please. We just can't hear you in the room. Yeah. Hold on.
So, Ms. Craig's up front and take a picture. Is Dana commenting or?
We couldn't hear her online, so
Can you hear me now? No.
can you try again?
We can hear her just so slightly. It's like, I just need hearing aids.
I turned up my volume. Is that better?
Oh, he's working on it. Well, why don't we press pause while we do a picture and then we'll go back to Dana. See if the tech issue's resolved.
We promise it's us, not you.
Do you want me to call in?
There we go. Nope, you're good.
All right.
Go ahead.
So when I think of my staff, I think of kindness. And as you can kind of see, we all wore our Choose Kindness shirts today. And like I said, I'm constantly reminded of their random acts of kindness throughout the day. So whether it's, taking the time to work with the kindergartner, entering in their PIN number at the end of the serving line, perhaps staying open longer for breakfast so the students who arrive late get breakfast, making sure lunches are put aside for special needs students so that there's always something that they like to eat available to them, taking the time to prevent cross-contamination when preparing gluten-free foods, considering we don't have gluten-free kitchens. So it is a challenge for them, but they put the extra work in to provide these meals for for gluten-free students. They also are kind. They help coworkers in their time of need. They smile. They're very friendly. They get to know the students. They call them by name. This past August at our Welcome Back meeting, an employee shared an experience that she had over the summer with the whole group. She was out to dinner with her daughter and her husband in Essex. And a woman came up to her and asked her if she worked in Newington. And the employee said, "Yes, I do." And she goes, "Do you know my daughter?" Because her daughter was with her. And the employee goes, "Yes, I know Hannah." And then the mom proceeded to say what an impact this employee had with her daughter. She always had something kind and just a friendly smile when the daughter went through the lunch line. And the daughter's now at the high school, so I'm sure they're experiencing that as well. But it's just kind of a pretty neat story that you're out to dinner in a different town and you get recognized in a positive way. And then when the woman, when the employee went back to her table, her husband and daughter were like, who was that? And then I'm sure she was very proud to tell her, who that was. So again, I think of kindness in all that they do. I just would like to say thank you to the board and to the administration on behalf of them. And they truly deserve, this recognition in this day. So thank you.
Thank you, Dana. We have a couple more resolutions, so we'll do those and then we'll open up to board comments. The next one is a resolution honoring Newington School Security Officer, September 25th, 2024. Whereas September 25th, 2024 has been proclaimed as School Security Officers Appreciation Day, and whereas the Newington Public School System is committed to honoring its school security officers and recognizing their contributions to the educational system, and whereas the school security officers are well qualified and dedicated to the safety and security of students, faculty, staff, and visitors at the schools. And whereas the school security officers maintain a safe and secure environment for effective teaching and learning. And whereas the school security officers establish a strong presence in the schools and develop friendly relationships with students and staff so that everyone feels comfortable coming to them when they encounter security issues. And whereas it is a desire of the Board of Education that the school security officers should be made aware of their appreciation. We do hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 as Newington School Security Officers Appreciation Day. Therefore, be it resolved that we urge all the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to our school security officers who represent an investment in excellence in our community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy to the Director of Security. Do we have a security officer on the line that would like to say anything?
Yes, can everyone hear me? My name is Marquetta Collier.
Yes, hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm new to the board. I'm new to the Newington School, and I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity in working with these awesome security officers. I work for the evening security program at Newington High School pertaining to the GED program and the activities and athletic programs and so on. And I just want to say thank you so much. And this is a lovely school and seem to be wonderful people that I have been working with so far. And the kids are awesome as well. And as me being the only female around, I just want to take the opportunity to say a little something. And thank you very much. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll have Ms. Weaver read the third one.
Last but certainly not least, this is like a record of all of our faves here. All right. So resolution honoring Newington hall monitors, September 25th, 2024. Whereas Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 has been proclaimed as Hall Monitors Appreciation Day, and whereas the Newington Public School System is committed to honoring its hall monitors and recognizing their contributions to the school system, and whereas the hall monitors work and interact effectively with high school students, faculty, staff, and visitors, and whereas the hall monitors assist students, staff, and visitors and help ensure safety inside the building. And whereas it is the desire of the Board of Education that the hall monitors should be made aware of their appreciation. We do hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 as Newington Hall Monitors Appreciation Day. Therefore, be it resolved that we urge all citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to our hall monitors who represent an investment in excellence in our community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy for presentation.
Mr. Harris, please come to the front.
I'd love to, actually.
And you'll be, if you wouldn't mind taking this back to our high school.
I would love to. Thank you. And I would love to just say, that our monitors do a fantastic job, not only of being a warm welcome for students throughout the course of their day, but also being an integral part of how we make sure that our students are safe and cared for, is they're often our eyes and ears in the hallway and let us know when there is an emergency or a situation that happens across the scope of our building. So they are just an absolutely vital part to what we do, and a great opportunity to continue to integrate members of our community into the school on a daily basis. And, I am stepping in for Ms. Tigno this evening to accept this on her behalf, but she is also online. So I did want to recognize that as well.
Do you want me in that? Ms. Tigno,
Yes.
would you like to say anything about our hall monitors?
If I may, I'd like to actually say something about all the staff that were recognized tonight.
Please do.
So I know Dana spoke to kindness, and anyone in our family of learners knows that's something I promote day in and day out. She obviously spoke specifically to the cafeteria workers, but I would say that it extends to our hall monitors and security. They are an integral part of our family, and they are so important and critical to each and every one of the adults and students that walk through the halls every day. The fact that Marquetta is there tonight speaks volumes of, I think, the atmosphere that we hope to have at our school, and she's in beautifully. So thanks for representing the females out there, Marquetta, and for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. But the
Thank
three
you.
groups, of people that were honored tonight are well deserved. And I know that we couldn't do our jobs without them. So I just want to publicly thank each and every one of the cafeteria workers, our security workers, and our hall monitors. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did
All
see
right.
a home on Taylor. Rich.
Oh, and yes, Taylor Rich is online as one of our hall monitors. Any board members want to make any comments? Mr. Holleran?
I do like that we're honoring both the cafeteria staff, the SSOs, and the hall monitors tonight. When we send our kids, when I send my kids to school, there's a hope that they'll be treated kindly, that they'll be taken care of, they'll be nurtured, and they'll be safe. You all are the ones who make the hope a reality day in and day out. I sincerely appreciate what you do, because at the end of the day, we are giving the school our trust and our faith for the care of our children, and you're the ones who have to do the work to make that happen, every single kid. So sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.
Sorry. I just want to quickly thank all the staff that were honored today. You know, we really appreciate what you do every day, day in and out. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just go around. Yes.
I'm so glad you guys are here and I love the shirts. Oh my gosh. They really, you wear it every day? Oh my gosh, that's even better. I gotta have a conversation with my boss. But it shows the love and the commitment and the enthusiasm that you have, not just for your jobs, but for your kids. I'm old enough to remember when school lunches were not the way they are now. And we didn't have the attention to food allergies. We didn't have the attention to the balanced meals. It was a very, very different thought process. And what we all know and data shows us is that kids who cannot learn if they aren't getting their nutritional needs met. And oftentimes that's not happening fully the way we need it to in their homes, but it does happen with the staff of our schools. And so I cannot thank you enough for that. And so I'm glad you guys are here too. It really is just a wonderful show, and we can't say thank you enough for what you do for our kids. For the other groups, the hall monitors and the security officers that are recognized as well, we sometimes forget that it takes a village. It's a little bit of a cliche, but we talk a lot, especially in this room, about what our staff does for our kids. And sometimes we don't recognize the staff that we don't always see all the time. So I really want to thank the hall monitors and the security officers, as Mr. Halloran said, for providing a safe and welcoming environment for our kids. Our schools couldn't do what they needed to without that support. So thank you very much.
Ms. Carr.
Thank you all for coming. You know, all of you are creating such a positive environment for our kids. You're keeping them energized, nurtured, a safe, secure place. You're creating a positive environment for that. So thank you all for your hard work and dedication. You really do all make our school such a better place.
So I love these ones because I call it like my little love fest, because you deserve all the love in the world. But it's one of those things, you know, I think everyone kind of said it already, but I just, when I went through Newington Public Schools, my sister went through, it was always a special part of our day to interact with all of you in our own special way. And I think one of the things is we really, we talked a lot about this during COVID, just the everyday hero, right? Like the people who maybe don't get the credit that they deserve because they're not necessarily always in the classroom, but they're such an integral part of it. So I'm so glad Ms. Tigno kind of touched on that, because I think one of the things we always like to talk about is family of learners too, and you're such a huge part of that family. So like everyone said, thank you so much for what you do, the experiences you make for our students, because I think truly some days they just need someone, and maybe it's not a teacher that day, it's someone who's, you know, serving them their food, or it's someone at the hall monitor, it's someone like our security officers. Especially when you have really good food and treats, it's always good. But I think what really, I know so many students who have stories about that, and one of the things we always talk about as we kind of move out, going on with our lives, is those special stories that stick with us, and they always involve a cafeteria worker or someone outside of the classroom. So thank you all for what you do. Truly a deserved honor, and can't wait to see the pictures of all of these going around town. So thank you guys.
I'll just echo everyone and say thank you so much. I definitely support this being a new uniform for the school cafeteria workers. So thank you. And I'm sure most are aware, but breakfast is served at all of our schools. So not only are our cafeteria workers serving lunch, but they're serving breakfast too. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. And thank you for making sure that our students are fed, well fed every day while they're at school. For security officers, again, like Mr. Halloran said, it's, you know, just definitely great to know that there's security officers in every school and they're keeping our kids safe, and their presence, like the resolution said, definitely a great part of our school community. So we're very glad to have everyone there. And Marquetta, I've seen you a few times in Newington High School picking up my daughter or going to a meeting, and you are super friendly. And I will make sure to introduce myself next time I see you in person. But welcome to Newington, and we're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
And of course, the hall monitors, again, making sure that there's some things that might be going on in the high school that need an adult to call attention to. So we're glad that people are there, again, monitoring the halls and keeping everybody safe. So thank you. One last love fest. All right, at this time, I'll open up the floor to public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. Hi.
Amy.
Double like stuff, and she always makes sure that everybody is like, everybody's okay, all the kids is okay. She's always like trying to keep up with us with everything. So I just, she's in there. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you. Dana, if you heard that, you got a big thank you from your team.
Something about the kids. Something recognized, so if I want to say something about it.
But there, say, thank you, have a nice day, thank you, have a nice day. Nobody, not too many people notice that, but to me, that's beautiful. It makes my day. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Tigno, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Taylor Rich. She's on the line, I think, as one of our monitors representing all of them tonight, and a former NHS alum. So Taylor, thank you so much, sweetheart. We love you. We love your school spirit and energy and all that you bring to the job. So thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Tigno.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Was there any public participation? If you're on the line, you can raise your hand. I don't see any. Yeah, we're missing the party. All right, moving on. Mr. Halloran.
Question of order. Can we approve both minutes in one motion? Great, that's what I'll do. Thank you. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the approval of minutes from June 12th, 2024 and September 11th, 2024. And I need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next is Superintendent of Schools report. Dr. Brumett.
Thank you very much. I won't read the report because I know the board can certainly peruse it at their leisure, but I wanted to point out some of our new and exciting courses that we're offering this year. They are listed, and it includes some of the curriculum that we've rewritten, and of note is we did rewrite our K-4 curricula, and it is now a new reading program in place and running called Benchmark. And it's the rollout is going well. It's a lot to learn for our teachers, but they're working diligently. I wanted to draw your attention as well to some of our new high school courses, another AP class, pre-calculus, leadership and literature, which is a really cool course about leadership themes within literature, AP English, another awesome AP opportunity for our kids, and AP ECE English literature and composition. And of course, financial literacy. We've talked about that a lot as a board. So I wanted folks to see that in live and in person. So the other thing I wanted to draw your attention to is the, actually that's going to come up during the budget discussion. One thing that's not in my report for this month, but I wanted you to be aware of, is the run for Reagan that happened on Sunday. It is in my weekly update if you had a chance to look at that, but it was a really beautiful turnout of our community. We were very fortunate to have wonderful weather, and there was about over $9,000 raised on behalf of and for the benefit of the family. And the family was there and very appreciative, and just a really beautiful turnout of first responders and all of our teams. Many of our teams were there to show their contribution to the community. And anyway, it was a really wonderful event, and it was good for, I just think everyone came together beautifully, and several reporters contacted me, and they just were very inspired by the community involvement. So the rest of the report is pretty standard, and our monthly enrollment is in there again, and our financial pieces. Mr. Freese does make mention of his new sidekick, for lack of a better word, Talisha Foy, who's a wonderful addition to our HCD department, and she's been hitting the ground running, working with us on a variety of issues. So with that, I'll conclude my report unless there are any questions.
Mr. Halloran.
Quick question on the new courses in the curriculum. Can you explain to me what unified physical education is?
I believe that has to do with unified sports, unified special ed. Do you know, Ms. Freeman?
Yes, so during the school day, it is a course in physical education that is targeted to support students who have multiple disabilities that cannot participate fully in a regular education program. So within their IEPs, they would have what we call adaptive PE. And so to program that, to best support it, we need a certified physical education teacher. So the PE teachers contacted me last year and had an idea to create a course that would bring in non-disabled peers. So they do their best to kind of hand select some of the students that they think would be best peers. So similar to a theme of unified sports, but it is very closely aligned to the regular education curriculum.
Thank you. That was my assumption. Thank you for confirming it.
Ms. Weaver.
Just two things. I wanted to say thank you to Kim Davis for all of her work, and then also welcome Ms. Foy. So I'm excited about that. I think I just couldn't believe she'd been there 8 years, and I was like, oh, so we didn't officially say goodbye, but thank you for your service. And we're excited about kind of the next rollout. And just curious, can I have a question about what is family life? Is that like a human family development one?
Yes, so it includes themes around human development, but also includes larger themes of raising a family. So all of the financial aspects that go along with raising a family, the developmental parts, the phases that families go through as well. So that's part of one of the course pathways within the CTE department.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to shout out AP Calculate, pre-calc. Again, wanted to emphasize that we are top 3 in the state for offering AP credits.
Yes, we are.
Go us. Great job.
And just to add on to the Run for Reagan that happened this past Sunday, it was organized by 2 students, Maya Laquive and Gianna Galante. And I talked to Maya's mom on Sunday, and she was like, there was a lot of effort that those 2 girls put in, and the parents too, to make that as such a successful event. And it was very well run and very well attended. So it was, yes. And Belle was there too. Beautiful princess. Yes. Any other questions or comments? All right. We are at new business and update on transportation services, and we have a special guest today.
We do. Mr. Barnes is here at my request to give us an update. I assume the board would be very interested in the vacant seat program that's going to roll out again this year, and just general updates about how the year kicked off with our program. I will tell you, talking to colleagues across the state who have different bus opportunities in their district, they had a much bumpier road to start their school year with just real challenges, and Mr. Barnes runs a top-notch program here in Newington. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Barnes for some bus updates.
Some bus updates. I presented a packet for you with just some general information. We started out the year with a complement of our staff and picked up our students to and from. We've done some analysis as far as how many students per day. And then in a week, we're transporting about 2,500 of our students throughout the district from our special ed through our regular ed on the buses. And prior to the beginning of the school year, and then getting into the school year, there's a lot of things that go on down in our office. Many people wonder, what do you do all summer? Oh, we play cards and solitaire and drink coffee and, talk about stories, but no, it's probably, it was a very busy time through the end of school, preparing for the new school year. And some of the statistics that are before you are appeals. The first sheet are appeals that are sent through to the superintendent. Those appeals are things that get sent through that parents are not satisfied with our answer, or they are trying to question the walking distance or policies of the Board of Ed. And we in our office share, try to circumvent those appeals by giving them the straightforward answers and how we operate. But some of those go through. So I broke them down a little bit for you. Some of them were medical requests with reasons for, I have a bad back and, I can't, walk that far or so forth. So those get sent through to the superintendent. We review them with her, give her the information so she can make a decision whether to approve. There were only 2 that came to where we made exceptions and allowed transportation, but the majority of them were sent through to the vacant seat program and referred to that. We also had, several of them were walking distances. People are like, well, it's too far, and an extra quarter mile, and the bus stop is down the street, and those students get it. Why can't we? So we refer them to the vacant seat program, which Dr. Brummett would send a letter. So that's a little bit about that, and then the next sheet, which talks about monthly changes. This gives you a little bit besides the 31, which is a small number. This is the amount of information that we process in our office by the month, starting in July, 517 pieces of information or documentation that came to us from the schools or from parents changing bus stops, putting kids on buses, taking kids off buses, questions. So a total up to date to this morning, we have handled 938 personal phone calls or documentation from school offices just to prepare and put students on buses, off buses, make alternate stops for a parent that, a daycare center or something, a grandparent, somebody, and several changes. There are several changes that Dr. Brummett and I, back and forth with emails with parents that just were persistent. And we've won on some of those and tried to circumvent any further discussion and satisfied. The vacant seat program has been a great opportunity, and that would be the other document that is there. This is online, and thanks to Mr. Farisi, who sort of put this together with us last year when we were doing the pilot program, it has now become something that the board approved that we are going to do going forward. And we can say that we've had several parents send us emails or even phone calls thanking us and the board for having this program. They wish it started right as soon as school started, but because of trying to determine how many students are on the buses, we have to wait, and especially at the high school. So we've done some altering to this, and this will be starting soon. The elementary and middle school will start on October 4th, which is sooner than the high school, because we have more of a static number of students that are riding elementary. They don't change like the high school does. The reason we're having to hold off on the high school until towards the end of October is because of all of the sports students that will now be coming back onto the buses. I do have some buses that are running full in the high school level, but we still have some buses that are surrounding. We primarily use the buses that surround the walking districts for each school, that we provide a bus stop if there is room available on the bus. Last year, we had a total, I think it was like 137 requests. We were able to provide almost a little over 100 of those students rides on buses that we had seats available. So that was able to help those families. So with that, it breaks it down. It's pretty well. They can log on to the school website. They can get the information. And we have pretty basic rules that we follow. And we've had some folks that challenge us last year, and we're not going to have students crossing Cedar Street just because the bus stop is across the street. And that becomes one of the difficulties, like Connecticut Avenue. You have some of the street, Maple Avenue, some of the street are walkers and some of them are bused, and it's across the street. It's because it's a high traffic street. They don't have sidewalks. So it is difficult for a parent that lives across the street to see a bus picking up a high schooler and we understand that, but there is policies and rules that we use. That's part of the policies set forth by the board. One of the things that we are 1 3/4 mile for high school students, where the state is 2. So we are a 1/4 mile less in our walking districts. And, when you share that with a parent, they're like, well, I don't care. I still want my child to have a bus. I'm a taxpayer. I'm like, we hear all of those things, and we understand, and we try to be very diplomatic with all of that. But the vacant seat program that is before you will be going out. We will be sending out, Parent Square is wonderful for this process because we can sort of dissect the folks that are getting it, and we're not sending it to everyone. And we have a way of doing that, which I've just recently learned, and how to use it a little bit more effectively. So we will be sending that information out, and then we will start the process of reviewing we review each request that comes in, where they live, do they have a safe walking path to a bus stop? We do not add bus stops. They have to use existing bus stops. And so it worked very well last year, and Erin in my office was very skeptical, and she's like, oh no, just something else for us to have to deal with on top of everything else. And it turned out to be, pretty smooth sailing through some of the wrinkles. We changed a few things, but that's the learning, it's the growing pains in that process. So we're glad that we can occupy buses and fill buses. The last thing, you get that, well, I see buses that aren't even full. Well, true, but it's where they come from. And well, let's fill them. Well, there's a process in doing that, because if you fill it today and then next year you tell all of those people they can't have a bus because now you will fill the bus. As I just shared a moment ago, we have our bus U last year had about 30 high school students. Now it's running over 50. So it's packed. That's 2 students per seat is sort of the policy we use for high school and middle school, 2 kids per seat because of all of their backpacks and all of their everything. And if we were very difficult to put 3 kids, big high school kids in a seat. So we try to use 2 seats, 2 kids per seat on our buses. And so with that information that is before you, and you can review that. So that's sort of what we do in our office. And we've had, as Dr. Brumnett said, some of her counterparts in the superintendent world are dealing with the frustration and the phone calls. And I know some of those superintendents just because of my life of over 30 years in this business. And I hear from some of the managers of other bus companies, one that I used to manage, are running about 35 drivers short. Another bus company in Rhode Island, which is also based here in Connecticut, just last week, they are 86 drivers short in Rhode Island. And every management staff, safety staff member of that company is being driven to Rhode Island every single day to drive buses and fulfill their contracts. So with that, I will say to you, as a board, your support of this department is very important. I know when I first came on board, there was talk about, and it's been part of the rumor mills, and it's been part of town councils, let's get rid of the buses, let's go private. It's not cheaper. I will tell you that I have proven it since I've been here for my 6 years. The cost of operation and a lot of the outside companies, as you've seen, Meriden went with First Student, but it cost Meriden $1.5 million in addition to their previous contract because they took in a union operation with the Teamsters and all of the buses that came by that. So there is not a cost savings in that process. And I come from the private sector, so I can tell you that firsthand. We are in business to make money. Here we are in business to transport our students and be as cost effective for our district. So that support that you give to us is very important, and to the community here in Newington. I love it when I hear board members talk about, you know, the years they rode on the school buses and they were bringing to and from school. We have drivers that are here for 29 years that are still driving. They've been here, they're still here. One of our drivers that had been here for 17 years and retired and then came back. He just retired because of health reasons and he stood in my office and cried, because his health does not allow him to do it anymore. And he's, I'm gonna miss the kids, I'm gonna miss you guys. Well, you can come down and hang out, you know, come have coffee, or you're welcome to come, you know, and shoot the breeze with us. But he, you know, that was one of his things. And to see a 75-year-old man in tears in my office because he loved his job, you know, it's part of what we do and why we do it. And our drivers do. It is a financial responsibility and obligation. And you'll be receiving, I know you're going into the CIP and to the budget. There is a increase in everything, and school buses are no exception to the rule. And that support of staying on our replacement cycle is very important to us. And also there are some projects which you as folks that work in the board side, with the town council side, the paving of our parking lot is coming up. That's on a discussion with the town, is very important. And the reason is because I value our buses. In the years I've been in this industry before I came to Newington, Newington was always known as the place to go drive a school bus in the school bus industry. So, and the reason for that was because of the pay. They treated their drivers higher pay-wise than everyone else. I can't say that to you today. Local companies right around us are paying over $29 an hour, $32 an hour to school bus drivers, plus full benefits. So I have people coming through our door looking to come here, but when we aren't paying that amount, we don't offer full benefits, or we don't offer benefits to our non-union drivers. They walk out the door. They can't collect during the summer months because we're a municipality. Those are drawbacks that we lose some very qualified drivers because they can work at another company making $30 or 40 hours a week, where we don't have that opportunity because we don't farm work out. We can't lease our buses to somewhere else. We're local. So in the process, and I know it all comes down to, but it is still, even with that, it is the best opportunity for the town of Newington, being one of the few towns that still owns their own school buses. Glastonbury is another district that owns their own school buses. There's a couple other towns in the state that have their own school buses. I've probably spoken in the 6 years I've been here, probably 4 or 5 school districts and folks that have asked how could they get into owning their own buses. The first investment is very large because you would have to buy, just like if a contractor has to pay for those buses. So the investment is large, but they've looked into it. New Britain was one of them. The director there came to me a few years ago. He's like, I wish we could go and get our own buses and operate ourselves. It would be cheaper. So there is a cost savings to that. And the investment of the school buses and maintaining them. I would encourage if it comes up and it's a subject with the town in any way about paving the gravel parking lot. We will be presenting through Lou the decay of the school buses because they are sitting on the gravel in the dirt. They are rotting, plain and simple. They're sitting on moisture, they're sitting on wet, they're sitting on water majority of the year. And under the dirt does not evaporate the water, it holds it, and it just is causing a lot of rust. So that project is a pet of mine, that it gets done. Preserve your investment. Because if we don't, we have 7 and 8-year-old buses we're replacing entire exhaust systems that we shouldn't be replacing because they're just rotting out. And it's because of the gravel parking lot. So pretty much I could go on for another hour if you'd like, with more statistics and data. When I came here, school buses were costing about and we buy nice school buses and we buy good school buses because I look at it this way. Our drivers get their bus and they pretty much keep it for many years. They take care of them and it's their office. It's what they operate and they're proud and we're proud of what we have. And like I said, before I came here, everybody wanted to come drive in Newington. Oh, let's get into Newington. I lost a few drivers that came to Newington and drove here because the buses were always kept up, they're maintained. And we have 2 great maintainers that maintain them. They have pride in what they do, Austin Muir and Victor. Very important to them that the buses are maintained and we don't skimp. And I will never on the safety of our children in any way, shape, or form. We won't skimp on tires. We won't skimp on brakes. We're always looking for good deals, but we're going to buy the best because our children are worth that. And then their safety is the most important thing. Like that.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Mary?
I want to thank you for all the work that you do. It is difficult. My kids are graduated, but I'm a Hartford Avenue home. And so we've had many, many, many conversations about bus safety and obviously continues to this day. 2 questions. Are we short drivers?
Yes.
Is it a critical issue?
Well, we're better off. We have 5 spares drivers. We really should have 5 more.
Okay.
Right now, I have 2 people out on medical. So 2 of my spares are now driving every day. This week I drove and one of our mechanics drove. And that happened twice this week because of just illness and so forth. So we have 2 people in training that are just starting. It takes about 2 months to get them to be licensed with their endorsement to be able to drive.
Okay.
So for the next 2 months, we're going to be tight,
Gotcha.
which that impacts sports because if I cover runs first. And if we don't have the capacity to drive our own routes, the sports can't leave at 2:30 a lot of times from the high school that they want to go on to their sports. So we have to request, and sometimes I don't know, we try to be as upfront and say, we know tomorrow we're short. And Chris Myers works with us and they speak to the other schools. We used to be able to call other companies because before I came here, I used to do work for Newington. When you didn't have the drivers in a lot of sports, we don't have that capacity to call anybody. I called one of my manager friends the other day, and just because we had a sport that wanted to go and we were all driving, and I said, she just laughed. She said, yeah, right. I have 6 sports I can't cover. So they couldn't send anybody. So yes, we are better than others, but we could use
A work
5
in
more.
progress then.
Yes, it's a work in
Not
progress.
critical yet, critical.
Yeah.
The last question I have is just a quick one. On the form that you sent, there was a question about DCF. One student from DCF who appealed.
There was a child that's in DCF foster care, and they made an appeal because of certain circumstances that I can't share, that child be picked up and brought to school. And they lived and Dr. Brummett approved it because it was a safety matter.
But they were in district. It
district,
wasn't
yes.
different type of circumstance. Thank you very much. And thank you for what you and your staff do.
Thank you.
Mr. Sharma?
Hi, Dean. Thank you so much for everything you do. A quick question. Can you just give me an idea of how much are we paying our drivers compared to
We are paying, our top pay, after a driver has been here 18 months is $28.68 presently.
Yeah, and you said like folks were making 29 to 32, is that what?
Right, first student, West Hartford, they're now paying, they used to all be under Newington by, they used to pay 19, 20, 25, but because they have struggled, they've all raised their rates, their hourly rates.
And do we give any benefits to drivers or not?
Us or them?
Us.
Our union drivers receive, health insurance. Our non-union drivers do not.
Okay, thanks.
And we have 22 union drivers and the rest are non-union. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
22 and 18.
Somewhere in there.
Conservative.
Ms. Weaver.
Just want to say thank you. Thorough as always. I'm not sure if, I don't think we did this in the last year budget process maybe, but it's always, I think you've presented multiple times on the case for owning our buses. And I think it's always enlightening, I think, for the public to understand what that cost savings was, especially during COVID. I mean, the amount we've saved. And I still feel like it's, we talk about the teacher shortage crisis. We talk about all of the different crises that are happening, right, with shortage. And I think this one sometimes doesn't get talked about as much. So I appreciate you, as always, bringing that. And clearly you didn't have a easy summer. 824 changes in just 2 months is a lot. But just want to say thank you so much. And also apologies that we put more work on you, and yet you continue to do more and more work to meet the needs of our students, especially with this vacant press program. So one, thank you to you and to Erin, to all your staff, because I know it is not easy to deal with a lot of the consternation that comes with this kind of work, but we appreciate it. And I think there's a lot of benefit to it. So I'm knocking on wood, hoping this vacant cycle goes smooth as well. And I guess just kind of want to leave with a question, if we could maybe get kind of those same kind of figures you've presented in the past, just kind of those cost savings when it comes to either our DERG or surrounding areas of those places that don't own their buses. I think those are incredibly powerful. You as a data man and me as a as a data person as well know those are some very powerful numbers that I think everyone gets lost in, and like you said, narratives go around and those fun things that are on social media. But I think one of the things that is always clear is how much that cost savings is, and then particularly it's bolstered by the incredible staff that we have. So just want to say thank you and also request more work again from you.
Not a problem.
Mr. Halloran.
I've got a couple statements and then a question. So I'll start with the first statement is I remember at the beginning of this year and looking at some other districts, and to use a professional term, it was nuts trying to get kids and buses and to where they want to go. I feel like we were shielded to a degree by that, by your efforts. So thank you. I want to give a personal shout out to Peter on Bus P. He's been my daughter's bus driver for a couple of years and he's great. So if you want to pass it along, that'd be great. My last question would be, not now, but in the future, would you be able to provide kind of the cost for maintenance of the buses due to the rot versus the cost of paving the bus lot? Just so we can kind of compare, like, after X many years, this pays for itself.
Absolutely. We are in the process of that.
Thank you.
We are taking photos. We are doing cost analysis per bus and based on the age of the buses. And the impact that has taken place prior to the last 6 years is approximately how long the buses have been sitting on the gravel lot.
That's perfect.
So we have that information coming.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ms. Carr.
To echo what everyone said, thank you so much for putting this all together. I know how difficult and strenuous it must be for your team. My question is, do you, in front of you, have the bus cycle replacement schedule? Is there 1 or 2 coming up this next budget season, or?
We are looking for 1 special ed minibus, and we are looking at, in the cycle, we have technically 2 in our cycle. We are looking to try to get 3 because the previous year, the next following year, trying to get ahead because in a couple of years, we have a large, if you recall, we have a large number of buses that are due to be replaced. I believe it's, off the top of my head, I think it's 12. So we're looking at the need, and right now, the purchase that we just made of 2 school buses, in the last acquisition, they were 142,000 apiece. And you can expect a 3% at least from what I'm getting from the vendor increase in those buses. So I'm hoping to get the 2 that are scheduled and try to get 1 ahead so that in a couple of years, it's reducing that number of buses, trying to get them a couple ahead so that when it comes to that time, I'm not sitting here saying, or to Dr. Brummett, we need 12, and we need $1 million.
Mr. Newton,
What's the lead time on
is your mic on?
yeah, what's the lead time on a bus? We order it today. We don't see it for 18 months, right?
We ordered buses 2 years ago, and we're still waiting. The buses we just recently ordered, we're looking at probably next year. And the reason is International is the buses that we purchase and did purchase. They are retooling their factory because it's called the new gen. It's the new generation of the bus. So they are at plus, the COVID is still affected a lot of the materials that are coming from still other countries. So I've been diligently speaking to DACO, who I've even spoken on a conference call with International, the representative, asking, how long is this going to take place and how long before we get to where if I order a bus, it's not going to take us 1.5 to 2 years to get it. Hopefully, but it does. It takes about a year at least. Feels like, we're 1.5 years waiting for the buses I ordered 2 years ago.
Mary, then Jessica.
Just one quick question. You mentioned the special ed buses. We've been seeing slides over the last months that have indicated that we have a growing number of special needs kids in the district. Do we have enough for the kids' transportation needs, or is that something we need to be looking at?
We presently are okay. But again, we're looking at the ever increasing numbers. So that needs to be enough of spares. You have to have a certain number of spares to your ratio of your buses for breakdown services, repairs, maintenance. That is required by law. And we have to there's a bus, sometimes 2 buses a day that have to be pulled, not including other issues with buses that, just general maintenance. So with the increasing of preschool and the increasing of special needs students, and the capacity to transport them, depending, because some of their programs, they have to be districted from all over town and brought to a specific school because of a specific program. So that occupies 1 bus. The old adage, you can't get there from here fast enough. So timing, and sometimes if timing is a problem, you have to just add another bus because you just can't make the school and occupy a couple of schools. So it's called tiering. We tier from high school, middle to elementary. So having another one, that's why I'm not really supposed to, but I'm sort of asking for an additional one because I see the trend of our special needs continuing. And a couple of them are aging out. They're getting to that age that we are on our cycle if we're going to stick with that. And I would encourage that we do. Most all school districts have a 10-year life on school buses, and then they're gone. They can't be used. And that's just the cycle. Since we're on buses, if you don't mind, electric school buses. Is that what you were gonna ask? See, I knew that. I sort of had something that you were gonna ask that question. Well, a couple of you, I saw some eyebrows when I said, school buses went from 97,000 6 years ago to 142,000 this last purchase. That's a large increase. We're looking at another. Anybody want to gander what a electric school bus goes for?
500.
200?
500.
They are, any other bids? Price is right. $475,000. And
How long do they last?
And it's 60,000 to put a electrical station in per bus. It is $1 million per mile to bring in the electrical charging resources from the power company. And wherever they have to bring it, if it's 15 miles, it's $15 million that you would pay for, the town. And they only last about 8 years. Yes. So right now, with the state legislature that adopted California's brainiac idea that by 2035, all school buses will be electric, they are rolling back, apparently, since DACO has buses in Middletown. They have a fleet of, I think, 12, and they can't really use them because they can't charge them, because they can't get the power to their yard to charge them. So a lot of this, we were just at a Costa meeting a few months during the summer, and there was a state senator and a representative who did not show up, who is part of the transportation committee and has pushed electric school buses. And she got an earful from all of the contractors that were present and saying, well, it's wonderful, but we are considered for funding where they say there are grants. We are a community that is not qualifiable because of our status to receive state funding or federal grants. So it would be all on the town, you, the taxpayers, because the funding is only going to at-need communities such as Hartford, New Haven. But those communities have received school buses at a small number, but they cannot, again, supplying the charging process is becoming burdensome, and the power company cannot guarantee the power in the hot times of the year. So there's lots of issues.
Cold as well, because I know it's a problem in the cold climate.
The colder climate, you have to build garages to put them inside. They have to be heated. Yes. Yes.
And where would servicing be managed for?
Buses like that.
Servicing would be, we would have to train our staff. There is a reduction to electric motors as opposed to gasoline or diesel. But the cost difference is astronomical, just purchasing. And over the life of them, and there haven't been school buses in electrical for 10 years yet. So nobody even knows how long they're really gonna last. Through the grapevine, leave some people nameless. They work around that industry, and they are having multiple issues with their buses. So, it's a learning curve or a growing pain for the industry for technology. But right now, we don't have the power source. We don't have the funding that would not come to Newington or any basic municipality to buy 29 school buses at $450,000. you can do the math.
Okay, thanks. I don't think we'll be buying electric buses anytime soon. Did you say that the transportation committee is rolling that back or not going to enforce that 2035 deadline?
Apparently, there
Thinking about it.
is consideration by the legislature and also through motor vehicle that they're revisiting it because it is just not even feasible.
Okay, thank you.
It is not. And if they mandated it, every municipality other than like New Haven at need communities, which they're Bridgeport, would be having to do all the funding themselves.
That's a
And
huge unfunded mandate.
yeah, another unfunded mandate,
Okay.
which the senator in our meeting presented that they are going to consider ways of taking more to pay for this, where they were going to get it from.
So we can advocate with our state reps and to delay that by a significant amount of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments for Dean? No. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to lots of upcoming budget conversations with you on buses. All right, so
Yeah. I think like the concept is good. I work in green finance. Like I work in this space. So I know, I think what the struggle is always that we do not have federal funding for anything, right? And there is and the one that I was looking at is that Hartford or DATCO got $33 million to put about 66 buses in play for Hartford area and for New Haven area. So yeah, I think that like the concept, great. Implementation, not as great. We would love to have just like it happen right now. But I just would say for our budget's sake and our taxpayers' sake, oh my gosh, yikers. But thank you for giving us that information. That might be helpful as we move along in this budget process.
thank you. So the next item, we're probably not going to take action on it tonight, but the woman that was here last meeting was unable to make it today. So, but are there, does any of the board have any questions for her or for Lou or something that we would have to get answered before we vote on it? Yes, Mr. Holleran.
I was just wondering if we can entertain a motion to table this to the next agenda, because I don't know if anybody's here who could answer our questions.
This is possible.
Great.
Ms. Weaver.
I just wanted to emphasize too, I think this is such a great idea. I'm really excited about this. I think our special guest can speak better to it, which is why she requested to have this when she's feeling better. But I just wanted to note too, just kind of like the funding process of it's really community oriented. So a lot of the PTO input, a lot of the folks maintaining it. And I know that it's just in still process. So we're not actually approving anything like what it will actually look like, final plans. It would just be, just for public sake, this is
Just
kind
the naming of it.
Yep.
So,
What we would actually vote on is just the naming of
Correct.
it. Okay.
correct, and we discussed parameters last week, and I'm sure Lou did meet with her earlier in the week, and they'll continue to consult on the project.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we move on to our budget 25, 26 guidelines. Seems so far away.
It's that time of year again. So this memo simply outlines the purpose of the budget process, some of the timelines. We're not at the point where we're going to set dates for budget workshop meetings. That comes a little bit later. Please mark your calendars for February 5th. That will be the initial presentation. Now, there was discussion last week, our last meeting with the board about making sure we include the town in that process. So I think one of the best ways to do that is make sure they know they can come to that February 5th meeting and be part of that rollout. They'll get their books. They can hear the discourse and questions about the initial presentation. So that would be my recommendation, that we include them in that meeting. Our newly minted vision, mission, district goal and theory of action are on this document, and why we put that on the budget document is things that will come forward have to be very deeply tied to our vision and mission and theory of action. So I'll let you review that. If those of you that were able to participate in our strategic planning session help to modify the wording of these to better fit our current emphasis, but there is still a heavy focus on preparing our students to have a very successful life after graduation. We've added the word thrive, and that we want our kids to have an educational process that improves their social, emotional, behavioral, and obviously academic schools, and that the students have voice in their own, students in our community have voice in the process, and that we obviously continue to work on our achievement gap. We also want to make sure that in our theory of action, we are striving for developing anti-racist routines, which will, again, help close our achievement gap. And just another quick bang out on our portrait of the graduate, which the board is familiar with, about being a communicator, citizen, and thinker. Those are all looked at by level and assessed by level as kids go through our system. So by the time they get through high school, they are mastered of all of those skills. And our goals and priorities this year have to do with making sure our students have culturally responsive pedagogy that supports their growth and our ability to meet their needs, regardless of their background. We are working diligently on our discipline system right now, and I'll be updating you about that throughout the year with probably some school stakeholders that are going to share their work. But the goal is that we're establishing 3 to 5 key positive indicators, as well as how we're going to go about them and teach them to kids. And that applies to both discipline and SEL. And more to follow on that about how that plays out in the real world. But what's the relevance to our budget discussion is we want to make sure that the board is fully aware that when anything that comes forward this year in the budget process will have ties to those statements. And it's still not too late to come to our Monday evening meeting, which will be virtual, from 6 to 7:30 to review our strategic plan, of which those components are part of. And it's online. Those of you that responded already, I did send you some free reading materials. If you are still interested or didn't have a chance to RSVP yet, just reach out to Sophie, or you can tell me tonight before you leave. And we are going through a brief process Monday for about 90 minutes. We have a draft, and it's going to allow our participants, which right now we have community, students, teachers, board members, so a good, well-rounded group of just under 20 folks who will provide us with some critical feedback on where we landed after that process on May 15th of 2024. But I digress. The purpose of this summary is to alert the board to our budget guidelines, and there is a motion for that I'll turn back over to the chair.
Thank you. I just want to quickly say that I love the new wording in the vision and mission, especially the utilizing the voices of our students, because I think that's very, very important, and they were fantastic during the strategic planning that we went to. So there is a motion in the packet.
Move the Board of Education approve the budget guidelines for the 2025-2026 school year as outlined above.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Yes.
I just wanted to say, this is just really great. Obviously, these are just guidelines, and I know there was a lot of talk last year about discipline and SEL from a lot of our teachers. So just want to say too, like, the strategic planning process was very stakeholder driven. It's so representative of the stakeholders that are involved, from all the student to teacher to community and parent. I think it's been wonderful to see that input from a lot of different perspectives. So I really appreciate everyone who was involved in that, and just want to thank them for helping kind of flesh this out, and continue to flesh it out as we do so. But as we kind of see the changes that have happened over the past couple of years, I think especially these focus areas are certainly ones that I know we can definitely work on. So really appreciate the time that was taken to put all of this together.
I just have a question on that February 5th meeting. I know you mentioned that we could have the members of the town council and the mayor attend the meeting. Last year we did a joint meeting and then they attended this meeting. Can we do, instead of having like two separate meetings, can we have that February 5th meeting be a joint meeting? Because what I found beneficial was that they could talk and we could have dialogue. So if we make that February 5th meeting a joint meeting, I think that'll avoid us having to do two meetings for the same purpose, essentially.
I want to reach out to the town manager and get the ball rolling on that, but I would think he will be amenable to that and work with his council.
Yes, he's welcome to attend as well.
Absolutely.
And participate for sure. Okay. And I know this is his first time, obviously in Newington with the budget, but also with Board of Education budget, right? So.
That is true. I will say that Steve and Lou have had opportunity to meet with him, as have I, and he has been a pleasure to work with and very collaborative. So we look forward to the first budget season with our new town manager.
Yes. All right, is there any further discussion? We do a roll call vote, please.
Mary Beatrice,
Yes.
Brittany Carr,
Yes.
Sean Halloran,
Yes.
Timothy Newton,
Yes.
Amy Parati.
Yes.
Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously 7-0.
Thank you. And that brings us back to public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. There is no one in the room. If there's anyone online, I don't see anybody. Okay. Remarks by board members. Ms. Weaver.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to Elsa Batista, who I saw on Channel 8 News, and I saw that article getting shared around social media. So I was just wanted to say congratulations on the she did a display on Hispanic Heritage Month for anyone who didn't see. So go check out that article. It's Channel 8 that did it. So thanks to Maureen for either coordinating that or whatever that was behind the scenes
She
was.
gets all the credit, but it will be in my weekly report.
Beautiful.
She sent me the link today and it will be in my weekly report. So she did that all on her own.
Awesome. I just want to say, yeah, it's really cool, I think, to see so many, we've done a great job over the past couple of years of really celebrating the really vast diversity that we have and just learning new things about different cultures. And I think it's just a wonderful space for to learn about our community members. And the article was beautiful, and hearing students' perspective of how they really enjoyed it was really great. So just want to say thank you, I think, especially to the folks earlier here tonight, and just kind of our everyday heroes, right? We'll have to bring them back soon. And just want to say thank you to all, and also to all who the run. I think just in general, we're seeing a lot of community involvement, and just wanted to say thank you to all those who have done a lot and stepped up for our community, especially in good and bad times, really representing Newington well through our education system.
Ms. Carr.
I just had one question. Are we CCM members? Just because in the board emails, we get a lot of different webinars and training things about policy and contract compliance and things like that. I'm not sure though if we're actually members.
The Council of Connecticut Municipalities, the town would be members of that. But Lou, do we have an ancillary membership?
We, members of board administration have participated over the years in several of the KERMA committee oversight groups that they have. They are a separate standalone insurance risk pool that's promulgated by state statute. And KERMA really is their managing arm. Everybody works through the KERMA operation. I know the town used to be a CCM member. I don't know if they've maintained that. But we would have to ask the town on that.
I can look into that, and I believe that some of the things you're getting are probably for public consumption. And are there fees attached to some of the workshops? You haven't looked that far into it. Let me get a little more info. I believe we are. I believe I did ask the town, because I used to be on a committee of, it was a combined committee for school issues and municipality issues, and I'm pretty sure we are a member, but I'm gonna get some more information for you.
Thank you.
Mr. Newton?
I just wanted to add that this transition with the bus filling is fantastic, because if you look at the news every night, Norwich is on the news every single night because they strictly enforced the 2-mile rule with no exceptions. So that's to be commended. So that's all.
And I just want to give a quick shout out to Chris Myers and the Newington football and cheer squads who welcomed the Newington Knights to last Friday's football game. There was like 80 some odd participants. My daughter and Mr. Holland's daughter were part of it, was there. And they had so much fun. And it was just the cheerleaders did halftime with the girls, and it was just, and Evan, there's a boy on the team. But it was just a fantastic night and very fun to have the high school welcome our youth program. And then on Saturday is the Waterfall Festival with Newington Chamber, and there might be a special guest there. Nori is going to make a slight appearance, so look out for him if you attend. And the Newington cheerleaders are having a car wash at the police station, so be sure to support them as well Saturday. And yes, Dr.
Just want to
Bennett.
add that I've been in touch with the chamber, and they've asked us to contribute a bus for the Touch a Truck opportunity. So Dean's going to touch a bus, touch a truck. But in the interest of good community relations, Dean will look and see if we can get a driver there to allow kids to touch a bus. And I will be swinging through as well. Look forward to it. It's a very nice
Awesome.
festival. The weather looks good. Thank you.
Yes, looking forward to a great day.
Motion to adjourn.
I,
All right. We have Mr. Newton seconded, but he didn't have his mic on. So, all right. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. Adjourned at 8:22.